Hi, and welcome to another episode of Starship Gaming. Before I get started, I cannot stress enough, do not forget to subscribe. It really helps out, it helps the channel grow, and if we can't get subscriptions, if we can't get them up there, we can't continue making videos. We're going to make a decision on that very soon. So we appreciate it if you would take a moment to go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Like I said, if we can't get the views, can't get the subscriptions, we can't keep making videos. I do these purely for fun. I don't get any kind of monetization from them. So yeah, it really helps out. And if you like the video after you watch it, don't forget to give it a like. And hit the bell. That'll let you know when we make more awesome videos. Now let's jump right into today's topic. So as you know, we're currently at the cusp, or I should say already at the beginning, of a new console generation. And with new console generations, of course, there's already new consoles out there, mainly PS5 and Xbox Series X/S. But in addition to those, there's also alternative consoles out there. The most recent one being released, well, technically not released in the open market yet, but released to its backers, is the Atari VCS. And those backers who have gotten the Atari VCS, they have mixed reviews on it. Some really like it, some really dislike it, and some are kinda in the middle ground there. And those are from opinions of, from people who have actually played the Atari VCS, from the backers, not just people who saw it online and say, "Ooh, I really don't like the Atari VCS, even though I've never touched one in my entire life. Oh." But all jokes aside, the Atari VCS is on its way, as well as another console known as the Intellivision Amico. But here's the thing. If you have been living under a rock for the past 6 months, or you haven't left your home since this whole pandemic started back in, early 2020, and you've had no internet access or television whatsoever, or communication with anyone from the outside world, there is a shortage. Well, I should say, first of all, PS5 and Xbox Series X/S was released in November 2020. And there is a shortage of both of those consoles, not only because of manufacturing numbers, but also due to scalpers. And scalpers are buying these PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X consoles and selling them for ridiculous amounts of money, way beyond retail, which scalping is not a new thing. It occurs in every type of marketing. For example, Star Wars toys, particularly Black Series toys or toys from The Mandalorian. When those launched back, or I should say, the Black Series, it's been a problem for a while, for several years actually, but let's bring it up to date. The Mandalorian, when the Baby Yoda dolls first came out, I'm not talking about the ones that talk or anything like that, or I shouldn't say Baby Yoda now, we know his name. Spoiler alert, it's Grogu. But for the sake of this video, I'll call it Baby Yoda, because that's what a lot of people who aren't familiar with The Mandalorian still refer to him as. So let's say these Baby Yoda dolls, they came out, they retailed I think they were $29.99 when they first came out. The prices later dropped to $19.99. Anyway, scalpers were buying these things by the buggy full, and they were putting them on eBay for, I think they started popping up at around $75 to $100. And stores didn't have them for weeks at a time. And then all of a sudden, middle of last summer, stores just got flooded with these things. Everyone said, "Hey, I don't have to pay those ridiculous prices anymore." And then eventually that whole thing faded into obscurity, and scalpers were defeated. And of course, many scalpers got stuck with hundreds of these things. Basically, they either had to sell them at their retail cost or at a loss. Ouch. So recently, a couple of my friends gaming friends and my fellow gaming colleagues have discussed the possibility, and, of course this is opinion, that it could be slightly possible that Scalpers could unintentionally cause the Atari VCS to be a lot more successful than people anticipate when it's eventually launched to the market. Not saying that it'll make it to the market before a huge supply of PS5s and Xbox Series X or S consoles make it to stores. But there's always the possibility. Well, let me put it this way. Walmart, for example, they do not carry Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5 or even Xbox Series S models for that matter in their store right now. It is online only, and with online only, they're usually, when they do restock them online, they are sold out in a matter of minutes, in some cases in a matter of seconds, because of the problem with Scalpers. And the thing I've noticed, I don't know if this is a regional problem or what, but every Walmart, Best Buy, Target, you name it, they no longer carry PlayStation 4 or Xbox One consoles in their stores. They are completely gone. They're not discontinued. They're still in production. They're still being made and sold, but they have just disappeared from retail stores and are being sold online. Of course, you can buy those, they're plentiful online. You can buy them, or you could even walk into your GameStop and buy one. Now, here's the weird thing. And me personally, I work in selling video games and whatnot. PlayStation 4 used ones have been selling like crazy. You cannot find a used one in my area anywhere. And the same goes for Xbox, Xbox One, the original model, or the Series S or X model. Of course, the Xbox, what did I say? Yeah, Xbox One S, Xbox One X. I may have said series in there, just ignore that. But, yeah, you can't find those used. It's like everyone grabbed them up. Because they couldn't get their hands on a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X or S model. And there's some cases where people are even moving to PC gaming, which has became actually, since the whole pandemic started, PC gaming has really thrived more than it did in years before. At least that's from my observation. But let's say, scenario time, by the way. The Atari VCS is finally released. Say it happens in the, May of 2021 or April of 2021. Just, they surprise announce, hey, it'll be hitting Walmart, GameStop, Best Buy, blah, 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 all those stores. Here in just a month or a few weeks or whatever. Just say that happens. Not saying that it will, but, as of this recording, if you're watching this after April 2021, you're obviously late to the party watching this video, first of all. But say that it gets a release. Any time between now and whatever. And there's still not a good supply of PS5 and Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S consoles in stores. And your only option is to either buy a gaming PC, which is close to $1,000, anywhere from $700 to $1,000 or even more, or an Atari VCS. Or if you get lucky and come across a Nintendo Switch in your local, for example, your local Walmart. Which, my local Walmarts, must be a regional thing, they sell out of every full-size Switch within hours. The Nintendo Switch Lites, they usually keep a few of them on hand, but they're gone within a matter of days. But say the Atari VCS is an only option, and they have, probably, say for example, 20 of these. And that's your only option of buying a console. Scenario here would be that there's a possibility that people are going to get desperate to buy a new console. Not saying that they're, Atari's desperate for customers or anything, but people are going to get to the point where they're wanting to buy anything that they can play new games on. And this could be an option for them. Not saying that Atari is, desperate for this money, but, it's a new console to the market, or will be. And it's not really that well known among the public. And there's a lot of negativity about it. Which there really shouldn't be. I mean, every new console has negativity behind it. Everyone has their opinion that they assume it's going to fail. There's a lot of negativity about the original Xbox when it came out. I mean, God, people wanted it to fail so bad, yet it succeeded and thrived. Well, at least the original Xbox succeeded. It didn't thrive that well, at least not until the release of the Xbox 360, which really put Microsoft up there way in terms of, being a massive competitor in the gaming community. Of course, Microsoft was already a well-established company. They've been around for decades. Of course, Atari is a well-established name, but the current owners of the company haven't owned it for very long. Or I should say, the rights to the name being a new company using an old trademark, if that makes sense. If I confused you, just don't try to think about it that much. But you get the gist of it. The Atari name, the brand, has been around for many decades now, more than 40 years. Well, actually, it has been around more than 40 years. It's been around for 50 years. Wow. But the whole point is, when it comes down to it, because of Scalpers, or I could say unintentionally because of Scalpers, it could lead to a big sale surge for the Atari VCS, because people can't get their hands on, a hold of a PlayStation 5 or a Xbox Series X console. I think that's what it potentially could happen. Not saying that it will, but it's possible. It's very likely. And it's possible that this could happen around the holiday season of 2021 if no one can get their hands on these consoles. In fact, I personally wanted an Xbox Series X. I didn't get one. I bought a gaming PC instead, an Omen. HP makes Omen, by the way. Well over $1,400 by the time accessories and everything. I believe it was that. I can't remember exactly, but Of course, there's a lot of counter arguments to this whole, Scalpers, unintentionally leading to a sale surge for Atari VCS, which I respect that. Everyone has their opinions. I'm not out there to bash anyone's opinion of anything. I'm open to everything. I've always been open. Of course, there's people who feel differently about that, but, yeah, I've always been open to hearing what everyone else has to say. Whether the Atari VCS, whether it succeeds without this whole scalper thing, it's hard to tell. I mean, it could go on to be, find its way in the market. We really don't know. Of course, we still don't know a whole lot about it. I mean, other than what backers have shown us online, which you can find lots of videos about, backers, what they personally think about it. Like I said, some of them hate it, some of them love it, some of them are meh, But, yeah. I think when it comes down to it, the only thing that, in terms of opinion, I don't think you should really judge a console until you've actually played it. Yeah, you can know all the information you want about it to make your own opinion, but you shouldn't really judge it. It's not good. It's not healthy. I used to be that way, until I actually played something. I'm like, you know what, I really like it. I used to be like that about consoles. And as I, grew up, matured, not that, the teenage me who said, oh, Xbox is better, oh, PlayStation's better, this generation, which is, when I think back to that, as high schoolers do that. They say one's better than the other, and kids do that, grade school kids. Which, looking back on it, it's really immature, but it's also hilarious at the same time. But I tell people, true gamers, they're willing to try, whatever they can get their hands on. And, a lot of gamers now are more collectors than they are, actual gamers, especially adults over the age of 30. It's like we adults, we love to play games still. We're not, that little kid anymore that, sat in front of the shelf at Kmart and looked up at that, Super Nintendo game we wanted. We're adults now. We can finally own that if we want, to dish out that kind of money. But, I think you get the gist of it. But, I think everybody should be open to trying something before they form a logical opinion on something. But, not saying that you can't, just read about something and have an opinion on something. But I really think that you should try something before you actually, be a hater about it. But when it boils down to it, everyone has an opinion, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone is free to form their opinions, whatever. But, like I said, you do you. Yeah. So, tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think that it could unintentionally lead, these scalpers buying PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, could unintentionally lead to mild sales or mildly good sales for the Atari VCS? If the Atari VCS is actually released, in a moderate amount of time, if there's still a PS5 or Xbox Series X/S shortage. That's the tricky part. So, let me know that in the comments down below. Of course, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and take a moment to smash that subscribe button. And hit the bell if you want notifications of when we make more awesome videos. And of course, if you have an idea for a topic for our next videos, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you have a video game you would like to see us review, let us know. So, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you next time.